So if we talked about this Azure VPN, what does it work exactly? Let's suppose we have an on-premises environment and we have one Azure environment as well, or cloud. From very simply internet, we want to access that on-premises environment. We want to access any corporate inside data which is highly secured. So that is not a secure way to access those data. No company want to access their data, in insecure manner. To remove these situations, Azure brings a technology which is named Virtual Private Network. And to access this hybrid environment, this process or this terminology name Azure Virtual Private Network Gateway. So it is a cloud-based network basically, and that enable the connecting on-premises network with Azure using site-to-site VPN, one site to another site. So Azure VPN Gateway provides secure connecting by using industry standard protocol like IPAC, IKE. So these are the protocol. We will learn these protocol during once we created this Azure Virtual Private Network Gateway, right? So if we talked about, I have a pictorial representation for you. Let's suppose we have this virtual network here and we have this client machine here, and we want this corporate data via over the cloud, right? So we require this virtual private network gateway inside that Azure VM, inside Azure, because this virtual private network will create a encrypted tunnel, and via this tunnel any user can directly access with these assets. However, to accessing those access, any user required two kind of authentication. One is root certificate and another is child certificate. So root certificate will basically deploy to the client VM and along with the administrator. However, child certificate can be deployed to the another user, whoever over cloud and want to access those data. So I have one more pics for you guys. So like the previous pictorial representation, we have this Windows environment and we have this cloud. It is our cloud and it is on-premises environment. So we have multiple data inside that, whether it is storage, VM, whatever it is. If we want to access this data over internet, we require a VPN gateway here. So there is always a question and a query in the mind that where we install this VPN gateway inside or on premises or virtual or over the cloud. So we always install this VPN gateway over the cloud so that it can create a tunnel, encrypted tunnel, and it can establish a connection to the on-premises network, right? So here's my Azure portal, guys, and we can directly open this virtual gateway, or we can select it here as well. If you simply search VNG, it will popping up over there. And right here, we can create this virtual network gateway. However, uh, right now we will create a lab and we'll follow that lab and we'll create all these things here. So okay guys, so let's jump into the demo part. Here I have tried to create this lab, and in this lab we will try to cover most of the scenario which basically use during the VPN establishment. So here this is the on-prem virtual network. We will create both on-prem and this Azure virtual network. So this is basically point to site connections. We will see in the practically on the Azure portal how we can establish it. So under on-prem network, we have this subnet and we have on-prem virtual machine inside that. Under cloud, we have this default gateway and cloud, one of the cloud VM. Apart from this default gateway, we need to create one more subnet gateway in order to create this virtual network gateway. So during the creation of this virtual network gateway, this will automatically select the subnet gateway, right? So this virtual network gateway will basically connect this on-prem environment, and it will create a secure way, and it will establish a secure way to connect, so that via cloud we can directly access this private VM, right? So uh, during in order to access it, we required authentication, and inside the authentication we require this root certificate and child certificate. So we will see how we can download those certificate. So during this lab, guys, we will cover few scenario. You can check. We have virtual network. We will create subnet, and inside the subnet we will create virtual network. Then we will again create subnet gateway and virtual network gateway. We will try to install this root certificate, and we will download this VPN client. This VPN client will basically create this encrypted tunnel, and so that we can establish the connection. Apart from that, we will try to remove the public IP address of this machine, because we must have only private IP address, so that this critical resources would be saved, and no one on the cloud can access this VM, only the guys who have this certificate, right? So let's jump over the Azure portal and we will check all the details over there. Okay guys, so I have opened my Azure portal, and as per lab diagram, we can see that firstly we need to create this virtual network, one virtual network in on-prem environment and one for Azure environment. So let's create the virtual network. We have virtual network option here, or you can select over here as well. Let me open it from here. So firstly you need to create on the tap on create and start creating your virtual networks. So you have resource group. Uh, you can select any of your resource group if you have, or you can create a new one as well. Let me create a new one. Let me see the name. VPN. Okay. Virtual networks on-prem VNet. Let me select my location. So you can select your location. Uh, since I'm in India, so I'll select this location. Go to next. Okay, let me select the IP address. As per diagram, our IP address is the same. So we will go ahead, continue with it. Add a subnet. Okay, subnet is also there. Uh, Next, guys, if you want, you can enter the tag name here or the value, but as according to my lab, it doesn't require as of now. Okay, let me create it. I have created the on-prem virtual network. Let me create on Azure as well. So let me open a new tab here. I'll go and I'll process the same process again. Let me create a new one. So according to this diagram, now we are going to create this Azure virtual network, right? So we will select the same resource group. Guys, resource group, for any Azure resources, we need to select the resource group. So you can check the resource group for every kind of Azure services over there. So Okay, region. Let me select my region. Central India. Next, go to next. Okay, since I have used this IP address in my first virtual network, so I need to delete this and I need to select the IP address here. So according to this diagram, we need to select this one. I need to select the slider and it will add it here. Okay, let me select a subnet as well. Okay, default subnet. I can give the name as well. So since it is a default, let me do it a default only. Okay, let me create this one as well. So guys, now according to this diagram, we have created the virtual network for both of the environment. Now we need to create this virtual machine along with this virtual network gateway. Let us check. Okay, it's done. So let us check our both virtual networks. We have on-prem as well as Azure Virtual Network. Okay, so guys, let's first create a virtual machines. We can tap on create and let's start and create a just tap on create a resources and create the virtual machine, or you can directly search it from over here as well. So first it will showing up your subscription, whichever you have, like you have Azure subscription, pay you go, or the free subscription. Then select your resource group. You can create new one as well, but now we have already created, so I'm just going to select it here. Now we need to select the virtual machine name. Let's it's on-prem VM. I need to select my location, then availability zone. I can tap on non-infrastructure redundant required. So guys, this is nothing. You can select according to your need. Since we are just doing the demo part and we do not have any much functionality required. So we are just going to select this non-infrastructure redundance required. Now we need to type the security group, security type, which is standard. So you can select the image, whichever type of virtual machine you want. So you can download or you can upload the operating system. Like you can upload the Windows 10, Windows Server 2022, so whichever you want. So for on-prem required, we would go with Windows 10 machine. Okay, we have size. I think it's going good. Username, we can select user123, whatever you want. So let me set the password. Okay, yeah, it's good. RDP, we'll go with RDP, this one only. So guys, select in one port. Probably you all are aware of these ports. If you want to go for server or want to open this HTTP port, you can select it as well. Okay, let me go ahead. Disk whichever you want, according to again your project need, you can select. You can tap on this delete VM, delete with VM. Since if you uncheck this box guys and you delete your virtual machine, so your operating system disk would still available there and you might get the charge for that disk. So you can tap on this checkbox. So with during the removal of your virtual machine, your hard disk drive will also removed automatically. Okay, uh, go for the networking part. We need to select the since we are doing it for on-prem virtual machine, just doing this. We have the default and public IP. Okay, everything is need to be same. Let me create this virtual machine. So according to this diagram, guys, we have just created this on-prem virtual machine. Now we're gonna create this cloud VM. Okay, deployment is in process. In the meanwhile, we can go and create virtual machines for Azure portal for Azure environment. Okay, let me select the resource group again. We need to follow the same process again, guys. Okay, availability zone, again the same thing, standards. Now on the Azure environment, let me select another one. Earlier we have select Windows 10, so let me select the Windows Server 2019. Let me select the server over this Win cloud environment. Okay, size should be, let it be. Oh, you can select any such whichever is available. So again, guys, you can check your all size here, and according to your need, you can select. Since this size is not available here, so we have just selected that size. Okay, let me set the password. Okay, since I'm doing this server, I need to open all of the ports. Okay, delete with VM. We can select according your need. Okay, let me open it. Let me create the virtual machine. It is throwing an error, so let me go to networking part, and I think we did not select the virtual network. So we have to select the virtual network default. Okay, okay. So it is throwing an error. Let us check, guys. Probably we made some mistake. Okay, so we need to change this virtual machine name. Probably it should work now. Okay, our virtual machine for cloud environment has been created. So now, according to this diagram, we need to create a subnet gateway and virtual network gateway. So let me open the virtual machine. Okay, it's taking some time to. Okay, our VNet, both
Go
of the
to
VNet
Network
is ready.
Manager.
You can check, guys. Here we have subnet. Go to subnet, guys. So here we can check. We have the Azure default subnet only. According to this diagram, we have default subnet, but we need to create a subnet gateway as well. So you can check there is a gateway subnet option available. Tap on it. It will automatically create from your Azure VNet IP address. You don't need to do anything. And gateway subnet name is already available here. Okay, let's create it. So we are just doing everything with our diagram. We have just created a subnet gateway in our Azure VM, right? Okay, our gateway subnet is also ready. Now we have to create this virtual network gateway, guys. Okay, or inside this cloud environment. We have already opened this cloud environment. Now we need to create this virtual network gateway. We can directly go to home page and select here virtual network gateway. Tap on it. Now we need to create a virtual network gateway. Okay, so you can check there is no resource group available here because it will automatically take since we are creating the virtual network gateway, right? So we need to give the name AZ virtual network gateway. Okay, region it's already selected. We need to select VPN since we are doing the VPN lab, right? We need to establish a connection via VPN tunnel. So we will select VPN. Since Express Route is also same kind of service, if we want to establish a connection with a dedicated network, then we will select this Express Route, guys, right? And definitely we will select this route based if we are using this VPN. SKU is nothing, just a you have a upgraded version here. So SKU you can select accordingly. So I'm going to select it by default. Generation again, generation 1 and generation 2 is a kind of connection. So virtual network, we will select our cloud environment, guys. So you can check here, it will automatically take the subnet as we were discussing this earlier. If we are creating this virtual network, it will automatically select this subnet gateway which we have just created, right? Public IP address, we can create a new one since we don't have the existing public IP address name. We can, yeah, we have set the public IP address name. So you can select this one as well. Okay. So enable active mode. What is it, guys? So enable active mode is nothing. It's just a real-time service, and it is provided the cross-region service. Like if we want to connect the VNet to VNet, then we will use this active mode. But since we are not connecting to different region, so we will go with the disable options, right? Config BGB is also not working in this scenario. So let's go to tag and next review it. Okay, let's create this virtual network gateway since it should be created. Yeah, it's deploying the progress. So guys, according to the Microsoft document, this virtual network gateway will take around 20 minutes approximately. So I'm going to pause this video here. We need to wait for some time. So once this deployment process will done, so we will start it. Okay, let's check our both of the virtual machines we have ready. Okay, let's open the Azure machine first and try to connect. We will try to connect our both of the machines. Then we'll check whether machines are working and properly able to connect or not. Okay, now we have set the password during the time of creation. So you remember we have created the server on the Azure environment, right? Okay, uh, let it be sync the policies first. Uh, okay, it will take some time. Probably I have already installed the server. Let me check first, guys. Okay, web server installed. Uh, Let me check whether the server has been working fine or not. Okay, okay, so server are connected very well. So that means our machine is working fine. Let me disconnect this machine. Okay, so let's check our second machine, which is on-prem machine. Let me connect it as well. Probably, yeah, it's connected. Okay, so both the machine are able to connect well. As per our diagram, we have already created virtual networks and subnet. We have created the virtual machine and all machines are connecting very well. We have already created the virtual network gateway. So now we need to install this root certificate and child certificate, guys, and then we will create this encrypted tunnel. Okay. Um, okay, in order to install this root certificate, firstly we need to search, go to Google and search P2 this certificate in Azure. Go to this link learn.microsoft.com, over where you can check the generate a client certificate, right? And there are other options as well, like export the root certificate, public key, export the client certificate. So go to the first one and copy this. So this is basically a root certificate. Okay, let's check. Go to our client machine. Let me open the PowerShell, guys. Open as an admin. Try to paste this here. Okay, if we are getting the screen like this, that means it seems to be install the certificate. Okay, uh, Let's go to there again, and now we need to search the child certificate. Child certificate also must be there. So PowerShell console session till open. This is the child certificate, guys. Yeah, let me check. Okay, copy it. Go back to your virtual machine again, paste it, enter it. Okay, if you are getting the thumbprint like this, that means your child certificate has also been installed. Okay, let's try to check whether certificate has been installed or not, guys. Search certificate. Go to personal certificate. Yeah, we have both of the certificate. You can check. We have child certificate along with root certificate. Now, uh, we need to get these certificate over our PC. Now it is installed, so we need to, get on this desktop. So what we can do, we can right click on root first, all task and export. So what we are doing, basically, we are exporting this certificate over PC. Okay, next. Here we have two options. So export the private key and do not export the private key, right? So since it is a root certificate, so we will select last option because we are using this in VPN itself, and VPN itself is a secure way. So we do not require a private key, guys, here. However, in the child certificate, we require this export a private key because we can share the child certificate with other users as well so that they can access the this environment, right? But we will share this certificate with client and admin only. Okay, go ahead. Let me do it. Okay, let's save this on desktop. Root cert. Let me save it. Okay, we have the root certificate. Now do the same task on the child certificate as well, but make sure we need to set the export key because we need to share this child certificate to the users. Here we can check. We have few options available. uh, okay, including all certificates. Let me check, guys. Okay, okay, next it we will save the password here. Nothing we need to do. Tap on password and just set the password here. Make sure you remember this password. Okay, just save this as well at the same location. Okay, now we have export both of the certificate here, guys. So now we have root certificate along with child certificate. So let's go back and check on our Okay, our VM is ready. In the meanwhile, we can check our virtual network gateway as well, which we have created. Okay, usually it take much time, but now it has been done. Okay, so according to our lab, we have created all the things almost. We have installed the root and child certificate. Now it's time to create this encrypted tunnel. So we need to go to our virtual network gateway, go to point to site configuration because we have already said that we will do this point to site configuration. Now we can check we have option configure now, and under address pool we need to select the address. Okay, now under address pool it must be take address automatically. Let's take by default. Okay, so under tunnel type, it is just a you can say it's a generation type. Like if we select Open VPN, so we have a different kind of setup. Like how many device, like 144 device we can set up under this. Under this we can set up 400 devices, and the out throughput as well. What speed we are getting. So these kind of options, this tunnel type. So we can select this latest one, and under authenticator, since we are doing from the root certificate, we will select this Azure certificate. However, we have other option as well. We can do it via Azure Active Directory. Okay, so it's root certificate. We can give the name. Mm, let's open our. Let's open it, guys. Open it via another application. Let's open it via Notepad. Okay, so we need to give the proper root certificate. Let's paste this root certificate over here. Okay, it must be work. Let's save. So why we have given this address pool, I will show you later. Okay, it has been saved properly. Yeah, it's taking some time. You can see here it's processing, still under processing. Probably it will take some time. Let it be complete so that we can download this VPN client, guys. Probably it's taking much time, guys. So, as in the meanwhile, we can check our lab again. Now we have almost completed all the things and we are trying to create this encrypted tunnel. So, uh, in order to create this encrypted tunnel, so we need to download this download VPN client basically. So this VPN client is a kind of application which will create, yeah, it's done. So which will create the tunnel, the safe way how you can create a connection between you and your private environment. Let me install, guys. It will install as a file here. Yeah, it's getting installed. We can check. Let me, okay, let me copy it and go back to the our client machine so we can paste it here. Okay, try to extract all. We have the folders. We can check, guys. Okay, we have the VPN client setup. You can check. Let's try to run the file. Let it be installed first. Okay, it's trying to install. So what it will basically done, it will install the virtual private network VPN on your client machines. For use case, we can check like in the pandemic situation, we all are working from our home, right? Work from home. So from office laptop or desktop, we need to firstly, in order to sign in, we need to tap on the virtual private network or VPN. We need to establish a connection so that we can access those company resources on our private PC if we are working from home or we are trying to access the company resources from cloud over cloud. Okay, so this is how we can create a VPN and we can share the users with the child certificate and user can access all those things. Okay, let me check whether VPN has been installed or not. Okay, VPN, VPN connection. We have the VPN connection, Azure VNet. Okay, this is how we can create this this VPN connection, guys. You can check. Now we have this VPN on our client machine, and if we tap on connect, so let it be connect. Okay, okay, you can check the status that now it is connected, and now let me show you the details again. Now this tunnel has been created and we can check, guys, it has been connected now, right? So this was the motive of our lab today, so that we can create this encrypted tunnel and we can establish a secure channel so that we can access the private resources over cloud. Okay, now we can check, just try to open, let me open CMD and let me check. Okay, one more thing I want to tell you guys that we have set this IP address and this is Ethernet adapter. Like, we have created a virtual network over this IP range. However, at the time of creation this virtual network, I have given this IP address. Right, this is completely different from this IP address. Why we have given this address? At the time of this lab, we were discussing that this virtual network gateway will provide a separate IP address of this on-prem virtual machine. So this is how, and that is how it can provide a separate IP address apart from this. Like, if we have this VNet, if we disconnect it and we try to check this IP address again, now it will show only Ethernet. That means this is the IP address, this is the virtual network we have created, and it will not show the your encrypted tunnels. So we need to connect it again, and then it will showing up over here that the secure channel has been established and the specific and separate IP address will be provided by virtual network gateway. So this is how we can create a secure channel, guys, and this is very important things in our basic life or in our IT environment. So we can check one more thing here. Just go to our Azure VM. Let me try to connect this one. Okay, let it be connect. Let me enter. Wait a moment, guys. Okay, it is connected. I'm trying to show you one more thing. Okay, probably we have not removed this public IP address. Let me try to remove it now, so that according to this diagram, we can remove the public IP address of this machine so that we can access only securely with the private IP address of this machine. Now we have just checked this that our virtual network gateway can directly communicate with on-prem virtual machine. We have just checked, right? Because virtual network gateway was trying to uh, give the separate IP address of this virtual machine. Now let us try it again. Okay, disassociate. Okay, it has been done. Okay, now you can see we do not have the public IP address. Let me copy this private IP address of this machine and let me go to the client machine here. Right. client virtual machine. Okay, let me open this Edge browser, and we need to check whether we are able to connect with that machine or not. Okay, we need to set up this first. Hold on a moment, guys. Okay, yeah, that's great. Now you can check with the private IP address of our Azure machine or our cloud machine. We can access this server, Windows server, through our private machine. So a secure channel has been established. We are not using the cloud IP config. We are not using the IP address of uh, cloud machine. We are just using the private IP address, and that is very secure. So that was our motive of today's lab, and definitely we're gonna work some more on some more topics of Azure in the next classes. Thank you so much, guys.